Okay, hello everybody. Low-key, I can't see because I don't have my contacts on and I don't have my glasses on, and I didn't want to like throw away one contact just for this video. So we're just gonna figure this out. I don't know. Anyways, can't see. So hopefully it's filming. Hello everybody. Today I'm gonna be doing a video on my interview process for my UX and UI designer job that I currently have right now. This was inspired by a comment that I got from a viewer. I'll insert the viewer's name somewhere here. I'm just gonna start off by telling you guys my story on how I actually got the job and what processes I went through to get the job. So first off, I started applying. This was right after I finished my coding bootcamp. And FYI, I keep getting so many goddamn questions about this, but you don't need a science degree, a computer science degree, to get a product design or UX UI designer job. Like, you don't need it. I'm just gonna clarify it here. You don't need a comp science degree, okay? Comp science has nothing to do with UX UI. Like, yes, it can help you communicate with the developers on your team and understand what the technical problem is. But ideally, at the end of the day, the foundation of your job does not need computer science or coding. Just to clarify. So, as I continue, I was applying to dev jobs and I obviously wasn't getting any call back or email back. So when I kind of shifted what I wanted to do and I decided I want to do UX UI, I have the whole story about my transition, I guess my career transition. I'll insert the link somewhere here if you want to watch it. Yeah, so I started applying to UX UI designer jobs, and let me tell you, it was not easy, okay? At the time, because I was at a boot camp, they made us track how many job applications we applied to, and I had over 120 job applications that I applied to. And out of those 120, I got 3 email back. I don't know if I should expose the companies. I guess I'm gonna talk about it. Actually, it wasn't 3. Goddamn bitch. I actually got, I think it was 5. In total, it was 5. So I actually got emailed back from 5 companies for a UX UI designer role. And it was, first off, it was BDC. Second, it was Intact. Then it was Lightspeed. Then it was TS Image and Nuance. So those are the 5 companies that I got emailed back. So it was not in any of these particular order. I think I got contacted by Intact first. So I did my phone interview with Intact and that didn't go well. I think I bugged there, but usually HR calls are like the easiest to get over with. You just talk about your experience, you talk about what you did. And I think that was like my first experience of interviewing with HR about like UX UI design job. And so it didn't go too well. I guess like I was trying my best to sell myself, but I just wasn't ready. So I got rejected by that. And then I was like, okay, let's move on. And so after that, I got contacted by Nuance, TS Image, and Lightspeed all at the same time, and BDC as well. So that happened all at the same time. I was really excited for Nuance because I knew they were acquired by Microsoft. So I was like, holy shit, this is a big company. And it wasn't for a UX UI designer role. It was actually for an internship. But I was like, I'll take an internship because I'm like, I don't have any experience in this field. So I might as well take whatever they're giving me. Like, feed me the crumbs, I'm gonna eat the crumbs. So I hopped onto an HR call again, and they're like, I think through a conversation, he was just like, hey, are you a student? And then I was like, no, I'm not a student. And he's like, sorry, we're not taking any candidates that are not students. And I'm like, excuse me? And so we ended a call real quick after he found out I wasn't a student because he was asking me to send over my credits for school. And I was like, I was just trying to bypass it and see if I could like kind of like get through this HR call without proving that I was a student. Anyways, it didn't work out. So I got denied by that. Really freaking sad, if I'm being honest. So for TS Image, I had to talk to the hiring manager. And the person who was coordinating it, I don't know, something happened where I hopped onto the Teams meeting link and I just couldn't get onto the call. Somehow I hopped onto the link, no one was showing up. So then I was being proactive because I was desperate for a job. So I'm like, okay, so I messaged the guy that I was supposed to hop onto a meeting with on LinkedIn. I connected with him, messaged him saying, hey, like, I don't know what the situation is, but I was sent an email by the coordinator saying that we should meet at this and this time. And I was there on the call and no one was there. No one was hopping on. And he reached out to me, I think a day later saying, hey, sorry, like the coordinator is out of office. And so let's reschedule this and that. And they actually sent an email to reschedule. So by the time they sent an email to reschedule, I was already starting the interview process at Lightspeed, which is the current company that I'm working at right now. So I kind of put that one on pause because low key, I was like trying to Google what they do, and it was like a finance company that like help people invest their money in stocks and stuff. I think kind of like Wealthsimple, but just not well known. And there was no reviews on Glassdoor, and honestly, Glassdoor is like the best invention ever. It's kind of like Rate My Teachers, but for jobs. And so I highly suggest and recommend you guys do your research on Glassdoors. You can find interviewed questions on there. You could look at salary. You could look at company culture. Like, there's a lot of good information on there. So if the Glassdoor of this company is not like populated with comments and stuff, like just know that maybe the company is very small, or they just got started, or it might be sketch. So yeah. So I think I got an email from Lightspeed in like early July. This whole interview process took, I think, like a month or two. But that was a hella thorough interview process. Wait, I didn't even talk about BDC. So I actually, during my interview process with Lightspeed, I got an email from BDC, which is like a financial institution. I don't know what they do. They probably do loans and stuff, like car loans, house insurance and stuff like that. Anyways, I might be talking a lot of crap, but I don't know what they do. I think it's something related to finance, but in all reality, I was just like, I kind of don't want to go into an industry with just finance. I don't know, it just kind of sounded boring. So I told BDC that like, hey, I actually am not interested right now. And then HR told me, all good. So I carried on with my Lightspeed interview. And so I was doing my Lightspeed interview, and the first process was to talk to HR. So I hopped onto a call with HR, and it was chill. It was just like, talk to me about your experience, talk to me if you have any web design experience. So at this point, I was ready. I came with my whole study book on what the fuck I was gonna say, because this was a Zoom call. So all of the experience I had prior in graphic design, I tried to tie it back in with skill sets that are related to UX UI design. So I remember doing some of the things like web design, so I brought those things up. I remember doing a user journey for a project when I was freelancing, so also brought that up. So I try to tie in like previous work that I did that like is kind of related, not directly related, but kind of related, and talked about the skill sets. So like if you see on the job posting, sometimes they tell you you need this and this skill. So bring those vocabulary in, because sometimes HR doesn't really understand what the job is, but if you bring those same keywords that are on the job listing into the interview, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this person kind of has experience, and they'll move you on to the next step. I was ready for that interview. Then afterwards, HR was like, okay, cool. You seem like a good candidate, blah, 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 blah. We're gonna send you a design assessment that you're gonna have to do. And I opened this document up. I could probably talk a little bit more about this design assessment, maybe in another video, so that you guys could go watch another video of mine. But yeah, so I'm just gonna keep it brief, but I had a design assessment to do, and it was to create this product. I had a design assessment to do, and it basically said that you should do it within X amount of time frame. And I was like, that's a short amount of time to build a whole product. And so I think maybe I misunderstood the design assessment. I literally designed a whole app. Like I designed a whole app. And for the most part, when I look back, I'm like, I think I misunderstood the design assessment because they asked for an MVP instead. I did a Figma prototype. I also created a presentation slide for it and explaining all my design process, thoughts, everything, my case study, my research that I did, my user journey. So I presented it all in like a presentation slide and I sent it over. I actually went over the limit of the time because I asked HR, I was like, how strict are you on this time frame or time limit? And they're like, it's not that strict. It's just like, an estimate. If you want to do more work, you could do more work because they're just assuming that people have jobs. And so people don't have that much time to allocate to this design assessment. But mind you, I was jobless and I was not in school. So I have all the time in the world to kind of like dedicate my everything into this design assessment. So that's what I did. Took me a whole week. And then I submitted the project. And I think within like 2-3 days, HR contacted me back saying that the design manager wants to talk to me. So I was like, cool. And so what I did to prep for that meeting, I didn't know what that meeting entailed, but I thought I was just going to talk to the design manager about my experience, about the design project. And I thought I had to present it to them. I prepped this whole thing to present my design assessment to them. I like had my speaking notes. And so I hop onto the call just like assuming I'm going to present this presentation. And so I start talking and presenting and the design manager was like, oh, wait, hold up. We already seen, he basically said that like, we have already seen your work. And the purpose of this meeting is actually to talk about it rather than you presenting it. So I was like, oh, okay, sorry, misunderstood. So we spent like a whole hour just talking about why I designed the things the way it is, or what was the thought process behind it, why did I use this component versus this component, things like that. It just felt like a design review. It felt like a design review. So that was basically the process. And I had a good feeling about it because we were just going back and forth, and it was good energy, good vibes. So I was like, I think I might be moving on to the next process or I might get hired. But no, they put me through it. After this meeting, I get an email back because at the end of this design review or that 1 hour block that I had with the design manager, they were just like, I was like, oh, what's the next steps? And he basically told me it's going to be a 4-hour workshop. And I was like, 4-hour workshop? And he's like, yeah. And that's all I got. So I was like, okay. And then I was like, how long will it take for me to hear back from you guys? And he's like, not too long. So I was like, that's a good sign. He said not too long. So I'm expecting HR to contact me soon. And so literally that night, HR contacted me saying, hey, like we would like to have you do a 4-hour workshop, kind of like a day in a designer's life and see how you fit in, see how you talk to different people on a team. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I didn't think I had to come prep. Not that I could have prepped for this 4-hour workshop, but this shit, I'm not gonna lie, was hella intense. I came blindsided. Honestly, I thought I was just gonna like join meetings and see how people communicate with each other. I thought I was gonna sit into something and just see the vibes and talk to people, No, they put me through it. So what I did, so when I got onto that meeting that day, it was all online. Now they do it in person, but the first part of the 30-minute was they gave you a problem and they just wanted you to solve it by just speaking. How would you solve it? Walk through your thinking process on how you would solve this X problem. And it was not related to design, product design. It wasn't related to UX, UI design. It was just like a question for problem solving and how would you solve X problem. So that was that. Very stressful, not gonna lie. And then after that, they told me, hey, for the next 3 hours or 3 hours and a half, you're going to be working on the extension of your design assessment. I was like, excuse me, what? I thought that was done. I thought that was over with. But no, so that 4-hour workshop was to work on an extension of your design assessment. And so I met with a PM. The PM told me the business problem. And with that business problem that you have, you need to kind of solve for it. So create something in your product, in your app that would solve for that business problem. So I had 30 minutes to work on it, and then I had a 30 minutes where I talked to the design team. Once I talked to the design team, I had 30 minutes to work on my project again, and then 30 minutes to kind of do a design review, talk to the design manager on my thoughts, how I'm doing, everything else. And then after that, I had 30 minutes to talk to a developer on the team to like talk about how we're going to build this. Like, what are the questions they have? How do I answer the questions that they have? Why am I making these decisions in the design process, and kind of explaining it to them. So hopefully I didn't miss the 30 minutes, but it was in 30 minutes cadence. Every 30 minutes you're doing something. And throughout the end of the day, you have like 30 minutes at the end to talk to the design manager about your whole day and how it went. So it was intense. In all honesty, after the whole 4 hours, I felt kind of good about it. Like, I had a good feeling. So at the end of the day, I asked the manager, I was like, oh, this was like an interesting interview process, because as you could see from my previous experience, I haven't done any like thorough design interview process things. So it was an interesting experience. And now looking back in hindsight, I see why we had such a thorough interview process. It was a crazy long process. And in the end, I had a good feeling about it. I asked the design manager, I was like, hey, when can I hear back from you guys? And he's like, not too long. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Not to be too cocky, but yeah, he said not too long. So I was like, I think he might have made his decision without talking to the team yet, but we'll have to see. HR messaged me, emailed me saying like, hey, can we chat? Like, can we get onto a call and chat? And I'm like, sure. Scheduled it in, waited a couple more days to chat with him. And when I got onto the call, he gave me the job offer. So yeah, that was my whole interview process, the whole journey. Let me know if you want me to get into anything specific, or ask me any questions down below. I'd be happy to help and share. Otherwise, yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Like, honestly, I'm almost at 4K subscribers. This is actually insane. So I would like to thank you guys all for the support throughout this whole journey. I know I'm really slow at answering comments, so I'm gonna get to it and answer some of your comments today as well. But yeah, just thank you guys. Super thankful, super grateful. Thank you for watching. Bye.